Welcome to DT Fae Podcast. I'm Kate.
I'm Elle.
And today we're talking Season 2, Episode 3 of House of the Dragon, The Burning Mill.
Since it started the episode, can we start with an explanation of the Brackens and Blackwoods?
I think the most important thing to know is House Blackwood and House Bracken have hated each other for a long time. Like, this isn't really Aegon supporters versus Rhaenyra supporters. It looks like that, but it's not really.
They just used an opportunity.
Right. It is a very old feud between two very old families. Like, I'm talking first men, old families. And it's very Hatfield and McCoy's. Like, it's one of those where it's been going on for so long that I'm not sure they even know what they're fighting about anymore. And they've tried treaties. There have been marriages. Like, I think Visenya herself even brokered one of the marriages. They can't get along. And it's like a lot of feuds, it kind of comes down to land. Like, they keep going back and forth about like we see with the boundary and religion. They've been fighting over the Riverlands since all the way back to the Age of Heroes. And with religion, House Bracken converted to the Faith of the Seven, which we talked about last week, and House Blackwood stuck with the old gods. And there might have been like a poisoning of a very important tree. And we'll talk about those trees later on because I actually think they're really interesting.
Yeah.
And that's the one we saw at Harrenhal.
Yeah.
That Daemon kind of like woke up in front of.
That's the same type of tree that was at Winterfell, right?
Yes. So because they also stuck with the old gods.
Yeah.
And they did both they've been on the same side a couple of times. Like, they both aided Aegon the Conqueror, but they had been feuding so much leading up to that they were both weakened to the point where Aegon granted the title of Lord Paramount of the Trident to Edmund Tully of Riverrun, which is why the Tullys are still the wardens of the Riverlands, even though Blackwood and Bracken armies, like, those houses are stronger. That's just kind of like the history of why the Tullys are, like, quote unquote in charge, even though they're not really.
I mean, it's kind of too bad because you need somebody to kind of calm and make peace between the two families.
Right. Like, you need a strong, if it had been like a strong, anyone other than Grover Tully, maybe. But it's a lot of information and a lot of history, but all you really need to know is they're both petty and they hate each other. Yeah. And they've hated each other for so long.
It was kind of wild. This episode just started like that because I didn't have enough background. Like, I could figure out some of it, especially when they were talking about their borders. But after that, I was like, what is happening?
Really didn't understand.
And then suddenly everybody's dead. Like, whoa.
I know. It was a very quick transition. I know they can't show us all of the battles. Like, I mean, I think that it's a lot. It's like a big budget to do like a really big battle scene.
Oh, yeah.
And it was kind of more effective of us seeing just like two kids going to like that escalating to just all of these dead bodies.
Yeah, to the families taking sides very quickly and willing to fight. But it's kind of one of the first big, not battles, but the big show of people choosing sides.
Right.
But yeah, it sounds like these families were just looking for a reason to fight. And now they found one.
Well, in the way that it starts in the show versus the book, it differs slightly. In the book, I remember it being a fight between Samwell Blackwood, who supported the Blacks, and Amos Bracken, who declared for Aegon. And unrelated side note, those two men fought in a duel for Rhaenyra back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay.
But anyways, Amos kills Samwell during the Battle of the Burning Mill. Then he's killed by an arrow that may or may not have been fired by Alys Blackwood. And then the 11-year-old Benjicott Blackwood becomes head of the house. And he's the one that we talked about last week, Bloody Ben, which he'll earn that nickname, hopefully in future episodes. I'm kind of confused I thought that the character that we saw in promos was going to be him, but now it's either they're like combining some characters or something. I can't really tell what's going on there.
And so this all started, the way you're describing it, that's what's in the book, or they kind of using the same?
It's changed. Like, there's those two characters that we met that started the episode.
Okay.
They don't exist in the book as far as I could find.
But in the show, the 11-year-old still becomes the head of the house.
I don't know. They haven't
Oh,
shown, like, remember it just kinda cut away. It was like
okay.
these 2 houses fought each other, and I
So
don't know.
potentially he could be based on the books. We'll just have to wait to learn
Yeah,
more.
they're not in the books, but so they position it as there's an Aaron Bracken and a Davos Blackwood, and they get into this petty argument about boundary stones near the burning
And
mill.
then it
It
escalates,
escalates into what we saw.
which is, yeah, what we saw in the show. Okay. So they're holding maybe different characters, but somewhat close to the book.
I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna replace Benji with Davos or what the deal is. I hope that's not the case because that he's a great character.
Yeah.
And I was a little confused when I saw the promo. I was like, well, he's older than like 11 years
What I
old.
expected. Yeah. So in the opening scene, who would we say that Davos and Aaron were?
I guess it's like they're combining a few characters.
Okay. Into the
I don't
guys that
know.
were fighting.
But it's just those characters, or I would say that Benji is too important to not be in the show.
Yeah.
But more than anything, as important as the battle is to the dance, because it kind of kicks stuff off, it also showed how quickly a feud, like the Blacks and the Greens, the Blackwoods and the Brackens, the twins that we see buried together, it
Mm-hmm.
gets out of hand really quickly and it can like spiral and escalate.
It's kind of foreshadowing what's going to happen around the country
Right.
or the countries with more families.
Exactly. And as much as Aegon wants to spin it, neither side really wins.
No, and especially not when it's like brother against brother.
Exactly.
And it was, oh, sorry, keep going.
No, go ahead. the the Brackens and the Brackens and the Blackwoods are still feuding all the way up until Game of Thrones. Like this
Wow.
wasn't the beginning of their feud and it definitely wasn't the end. Like both sides end up fighting for House Stark and House Tully, but then after the Red Wedding, which both of those families lost people in the Red Wedding, the Brackens accept a pardon from the Lannisters, and then the Blackwoods stay loyal to the Starks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So this is a deep running feud that's going to
It
be
is a deep
a
running feud.
constant thing through the series. Okay. I mean, it just was so jarring how it went from two kids having a disagreement to like their full families and armies are behind them. And then it's all those bodies.
Mhm. Yeah,
Wow.
it was an interesting way to start the episode, but I think it's an important battle, and it's just important to show you, even when we see, how Rhaenyra tries again to de-escalate things,
Mm-hmm.
how like what's at stake? Like it's always the small folk who are going to
Yeah.
suffer.
Well, and especially if this is an underlying theme all the way through Game of Thrones, it sounds like the Blackwoods might be a lot more loyal overall. But I mean,
Absolutely.
as we're saying, neither side's really going to win if it kills off most of you.
I know.
And Aegon's small council.
Council.
I mean, Aegon's small council could not agree what to do next.
I know, and it's, if they had someone, like we were saying, that's stronger, that might be able to get these 2 houses under control, Grover Tully is just not that girl. He's
No.
not gonna be able to do it, and so there's no way that you can just go tell him to get shit together. Jason was talking about Casterly Rock. Maybe Aegon's uncle can handle things when he gets here, whenever he gets here. Like, it was just chaos.
It is chaos. Kristen Cole takes advantage of the chaos and takes the reins again.
I know, and out of everything that this show has done, they're killing kids, they are hanging the rat catchers, there's incest. That haircut is the most egregious part
So
of
horrifying.
this entire show. That Caesar cut.
It is very
terrible.
old Rome. Like, good God. How do they do that?
I will say, though, this episode, as much as I hate to say it, I wasn't pulling for Kristen.
Yeah.
He is actually pretty good at what he does. Like, we see that with how he saves when, later on we'll talk about it, but he's actually good at his job.
His motivation might be a little sus. Just having questions about why you're doing what you're doing, but he still knows his business.
He's actually, he's smart and he's a good fighter, and I don't know. We'll see later when he saves Allison's brother, and then he's like, but in the small council meeting, she's like, I'll just do it myself. He's going to take Harrenhal himself, not knowing who's there right now.
Yeah, good luck.
But he also is kind of stepping all over Alicent to do that. Like, nobody's listening to her. They're talking over her.
Well, I mean, just because he thinks she has the heart of an angel doesn't mean he respects her as any kind of strategic mind.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, okay, sweetie, thanks for trying.
At the end of the day, I think he just hates women.
I mean, I just think he doesn't have enough respect for what she could do.
No.
But they try to do this and they don't even take dragons.
Aegon
Like
is
being sneaky, there's a line that you need to back up.
well, he's so childlike. He's like, I can do war. I'll go to war, and they're like, no, you're great at war, sweetie. We're gonna save you. That's how good at war you are. And Aemond's just like, oh, like it would be so hard to be someone like Aemond and have to watch your idiot older brother have all this power
and not know what to do with
it. And
he's just not good at being cunning.
No.
Or like strategic.
He's not. And Alicent it's for the first time, her father isn't there to hold her back or like talk over her, but she's still not being heard.
I know. She's become the voice of reason without Otto there, but she's still a woman in this council and she kind of needs some help with backing.
Well, I do like that she sees what Kristen is doing, how he's moving. And so she sends her brother, Gawain, who is a total dick, but he's a dick to Kristen. So it made me LOL. Like I was laughing.
He's still just kind of like pretentious.
Right. It reminded me of, what is the movie where she's like, you're a doorman. Doorman? You know what I'm talking about? It might be Knocked Up or something. But maybe when he was like, you're doing great for a Dornish man. And you could tell Kristen was like, which I don't remember him actually being Dornish unless his mother was, I don't know.
I think I would have to go back and rewatch season 1. It sounds familiar.
But yeah, he has a chip on his shoulder about Rhaenyra, about where he's from. He's very angry man.
I know, but he does need to be humbled a little bit.
He does need to be humbled. I did think it was interesting that they showed he left his hand of the king pin like in his chair.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what's that about? Why wouldn't you? He just had this promotion and now he left his little name tag.
Well, if you're doing this in the name of the king, then who cares? But it's almost like he's trying to, again, be sneaky.
Yeah, he's sneaky.
And then later claim something. And I wonder what Alicent will do now that all these controlling men are gone.
Well, especially with what she learns at the end of the episode.
Oh my God, I was shook a little bit.
I know. I think that she is too, even if she does double down. I don't know. It depends how close they're going to stick with the book.
I know. I mean, and we can discuss it once we're finished wrapping up the episode, but she's kind of stuck because things are already in motion.
Right. It is, but then also if she were going to do something, now would be the time. Everyone's leaving, and she's going to be, for the first time ever, she could possibly make some moves of her own.
Yeah, again, if those men are not, if they're gone for a minute, you could actually step in and do a few things.
Well, except for Larys. He's not going anywhere.
Oh, God.
Well, I did think it was interesting, too, that Larys it's not the hand of the king. It's not the mother of the king. That's who talks Aegon out of flying out.
I'm interested, when did he get Aegon's trust? Was it just mentioning that he doesn't need Otto? Like there were certain things, he can tell he's like putting a little bug in Aegon's ear, but Aegon is really listening to him and he's like, okay, what would you have me do? Like, when did Larys become this important to you?
I mean, I think that he is really good at manipulating and Aegon is just so childlike.
Maybe he's seen Larys give counsel to his mother before, so he's expecting him to be around.
He's trying to build his own circle of people, but he's choosing the wrong people. I mean, I don't know. He's actually a pretty good master of whispers.
Oh yeah.
If you had to choose someone, but
I mean, everyone's updated their staff directory with a new master of whispers this
right.
week.
This was a big episode for master. I would choose Mysaria over Only Feet if I were going to choose someone. But then also Aegon is hiring his bros. And it's silly goose time. Like he's looking in the mirror. It's very childlike when he was like, but you guys took a vow of celibacy. And they're like, okay.
But then the fact that he just stares at them.
He just stares at them. They're like, oh shit.
Not okay. Sorry. But I mean, he does go from like to war to the brothel. He's so eager for those friends.
And there's a lot of moments that I was infuriated. He's spinning around that dagger, the one that has the prophecy on it. And he's not paying attention.
Nope.
And I really hope he likes that armor he was trying on because he's going to be wearing it for a very long time.
Are you foreshadowing something?
I am foreshadowing something if they stick with it. But in the
I don't know why they wouldn't. They made such a big deal about the armor.
Well, I don't remember it being Valyrian armor in the book. So I don't know how they're going to I don't know how
based on what happens in the book, it may not make sense in the show.
It may not make as much sense, but yeah, I really like, I hope he likes his fit.
But we would find out tonight?
Yeah, I'm very, very nervous for tonight.
Okay. Like,
we'll see how, maybe they'll change things, but we'll see.
I know we'll discuss it in a second, but with the way things ended last week, I was like, oh shit, it's on. So excited.
Well, and I get so mad that we're always a week behind because, like, it would be amazing if Monday morning we could come in here and talk about it.
I know. Why do we have jobs?
I don't know.
We should immediately come in and record the podcast.
I fucking hate working. If I could just talk about books all day long.
I know.
But yeah, I know people, you might be listening to this being like, yeah, I already saw Rook's Rest, but yeah, we're recording this before.
But even if I've seen the episode, like last week, I was so eager to watch back anything where people were discussing what's already happened. I'm just like, let's discuss.
Yeah.
Before we talk about Aegon and Aemond and that scene.
God, the jump scare. But I was we'll talk about it. I was kind of into it.
I was watching very closely. Let's talk about Ulf. Is he really a Targaryen?
This is a slight spoiler from the book, but like Hugh and Adam and Alan, he is a dragon seed, Ulf is, which means he's the bastard of Valyrian descent. And we've talked about dragon seeds before, but they're going to play a major role in this story.
Well, everybody quickly assumes he's not Targaryen because his hair isn't white blonde, but Adam and Alan also have dark hair. So
right, and you just have to be Valyrian descent.
Yeah, to be a dragon seed. So there could be so many bastards running around.
Oh, I would try when they were like, oh, anybody can try out. I'd be like, yeah, like just immediately get burned.
The dragon would be like, no.
No, gross.
But I mean, the dragon seeds are going to be a big deal because the blacks have more dragons than riders. So
right, and we're already seeing like Sea Smoke is agitated,
looking for a new rider.
Maybe a little lonely. So they're basically going to at some point throw an ad up on Craigslist looking for dragon seeds. Like, hey, if you think that you might be a bastard child, like, come try it out.
Okay, so this is in the book, and it would make sense for that to be in the show.
Right.
Like, especially coming into a battle.
I'd say my biggest problem with the way that his introduction was handled is he claims that his father is Baelon the Brave.
Ulf claims that?
Yes.
Ulf. I'm sorry, his name is so ridiculous.
And that is Daemon and Viserys's father, late father. And just, how dare they? Basically.
That's claim.
Well, he loved his wife, his sister wife.
Yeah.
Alyssa. So he loved her so much that after her death, he never took another wife, and he refused the advances of his sister.
His other sister?
His other sister.
A Targaryen rejecting their sister. Are you
sure? And that's how much he loved her. Like, that was his whole personality, was how much he loved his wife. So I'm not saying it's not possible, but I don't fucking like it. Like, I can't believe I'm saying I loved a love story between a sister and brother, but I loved
they were actually
story.
True to each other.
Yeah, like that was such a big part of his character. I don't like that.
There's already so many Targaryen like sibling cousins. Like, why even make a claim against one of those? Like, to be in the capital and claim to be from the king, the original, like a few.
It's like he just chose someone.
That's a big claim. You better be able to back up.
It's like he wants to be associated with someone like that.
Yeah, but you're in a place too close for comfort, especially when Aegon walks in.
I know.
That's a big claim. You may want, like, start smaller. Claim a cousin. Like, yeah, I'm the descendant of so-and-so.
Right.
Not somebody here that can be like, no, you're not. That's wild.
I do like that we see in that scene, like, he says, yeah, this is who my father is. But then we already see that he's a liar. Mm-hmm. So I think that in that way, they're kind of showing us who he really is, that we can't trust him.
Yeah, he could be a seed, but let's get some proof.
Well, and that's unlike Hugh. So Hugh the Hammer is someone I also don't like, but they kind of set him up as sympathetic, but we're getting this character, this other dragon seed, and we're already like, oh, we can't trust this guy because he is all pro Rhaenyra, and then Aegon walks in, and he just switches. Ain't loyal. His hoes are not loyal.
But also, if he walks right past you, you're kind of fucked. You better pretend otherwise.
Well, and back to Aemond in that scene, Aegon is looking for Sylvie, she's just trying to do her job. And it is a jump scare that he rips open the curtain and then Aemond is just like curled up there, which I guess is like a nightly thing for him.
I mean, poor Aemond, one, but two, if you're going to be that vulnerable, go somewhere with a fucking door.
Yeah.
Anybody can whip back a curtain and there you are exposed. Like, well,
he's so mad and he's so bitter about being bullied when it is actually his brother that's his biggest bully. And I mean, like, it really do be your own people sometimes.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, there's going to be a point in this story where Aemond has a chance to kill Aegon. And I think he might have taken it if Kristen hadn't been within eyeshot.
I mean, honestly,
I just think he fucking hates him.
The scene, I know that he's been bullied and he's all vulnerable and stuff, but I'm like, Aegon feels like a joke. I don't think Aegon's even trying to be cruel. He's just like laughing and being stupid. Like,
right.
This is somebody,
your brother. He could have. You could have stood handled that.
I know, but like, I don't think Aegon realizes how sensitive Aemond is. So I'm like, he handled it, but I'm like, you could have put him in his place a little bit more, and he would have been like, okay.
Yeah.
He's just poor Aemond. He's a sensitive boy.
He's so sensitive.
But we've learned that sensitive boys can be the most dangerous.
Well, they have so much they're trying to prove
and hide.
And over on Dragonstone, poor Rhaenyra is stuck with the kids, but like it's the dance of the dragons and you ain't got no dragon and you ain't got no fiance. So
look, I mean, I feel real bad for you, but what are you going to do?
Exactly.
Again, a dance of the dragons. You can't ride on the back of the dragon with me. I mean, but also
we look so silly.
We're going to go together. There's also 4 eggs, like there's potential there. I would look at that as an opportunity. You're going to be the protector.
Kill these babies. Take one of those eggs.
Whoa. Okay, that took a real turn.
JK.
Although they are Targaryen, so maybe she will. It is important, though. I mean, she's protecting the future of House Targaryen, not just with the kids, but also with the eggs.
Yeah, I mean, I would be bummed, but it is also what she's doing is very important. And like I said, I would be bitter if these babies had dragons and I didn't, because hers I don't think ever hatched.
Yeah, I don't want to be like a babysitter, but like dragon eggs are dragons at their most vulnerable. Like this is a really big deal and they need you for this.
Right. And just to give a quick refresh on the twins, Baela and Rhaenyra are the daughters of Daemon and Laena, who was the daughter of Corlys and I'm getting so fucking confused. And Rhaenys. So her brother was Laenor, who was Rhaenyra's first husband, the one that they they kind of
their mother is the one that basically died in childbirth. It was really sad.
And Sea Smoke, by the way, who we saw was agitated, is Laenor's. So I have to wonder if something happened to him and we just don't know it. Now I can't remember if Sea Smoke is she or he. For they to be agitated, I'm like, I wonder if
quick question.
He's dead.
I know, like in season 1, Laenor fled and like dropped all titles and name and everything, but I'm like, how did you leave your dragon?
Well, and that did not happen in the book. He's not living.
Oh.
I think they were trying to soften that a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked that. And it could have, again, like I've always said, like this is a history written so much later on that like maybe they did actually get him away and no one ever knew it. But
or maybe something has happened to him now, which explains why Sea Smoke, even though he couldn't see him, at some point always knew he's alive and now he's not.
Yeah, I don't know.
So like agitated.
But that's like just a little aside.
Okay.
Baela rides Moondancer and she is engaged to Jace. And this is where the history differs on who you ask.
I forgot she's engaged to Jace.
Yes.
No wonder they're having to talk about their dads.
I know. I actually love them together.
They're having a little moment together.
I think that they could be very strong. It's some of the people who contributed to this history book will say that Jace wanted to wait to marry until after the Civil War, while Mushroom says that he was secretly in love with or even married to Sarah Snow, who we talked about in our first episode.
Wow. Okay.
Right.
One we don't even know if she existed.
We don't even know if she existed. And Baela is the rowdier of the twins. I would say that it fits his personality more, that he was just faithful and that he wanted to wait until everything was settled to get married. I don't know.
So far, he's been a very faithful to family, like very loyal, very focused on that type of character.
But yeah, Baela is the rowdier, the one that was always hanging out with boys growing up, that was like wanting to learn to fight.
You could tell that when she spotted Kristen and she's like, I didn't do anything really.
I know. It's like she made the right call. You can see all the women in her family, because a lot of people would have just started a forest fire.
Yeah.
Smoked them out. killed who knows how many people.
Well, she was told not to do anything too drastic, but she sure put a fire under him. She scared him, which is good.
Well, and that's another, like, a part of the show that I was like, God, Kristen really is, like, you know, he's not a total idiot. He made the right call there. Like, he immediately, like, I wouldn't have seen that or no.
No, as soon as the clouds, I guess because he's been in King's Landing so long, he's had enough experience with dragons. He's like, you should always be watching for dragons.
And Baela does bring back really good intel. Like, they can go fortify Rook's Rest, and they've set us up for, like, what is going to be the most devastating episode, one of the most devastating episodes. And I don't know.
About tonight?
Tonight.
I have so much anxiety now. Like, I'm excited, but oh my God.
Maybe they will change things, especially with, like, who's there and who's not there. I don't know. I hope, I don't know how to say, I don't want to say too much. For her character, I don't want anyone else to be there because it was such an important, like, stand, that I don't want it to be lessened by the introduction of other characters being present. That probably doesn't make any sense.
No, it does, because whatever is about to happen, I feel like if it's in the book and it's this big a deal, it's going to be in the show, because it is a very important either turning point or moment. So, right, hopefully they don't introduce new characters during that scene because it's too pivotal.
Right.
Like, I don't take away my focus for whatever's happening.
But that's all Baela, and then Rhaenyra, who we were just talking about, you know, is taking the kids, does not have a dragon yet. And she was engaged to Luke.
R.I.P. I forgot about that. That it was season 1, obviously, where they made the deal with, I guess, with Rhaenys and Corlys, and they decided to have all their kids get engaged. Forgot about that. Okay.
It's weird, but
well, that's also so sad. So now she not only doesn't have a dragon, but the guy she was engaged to in the future she foresaw is now gone.
She's also leaving her sister, leaving her grandmother.
She's just going with very small children and small dragons.
Like BB Aegon. I hate that they keep using the same names. And I know she's bummed, but I also wonder if Jane Eyre, when they get to the Vale, I feel like she's also going to be bummed when she sees the dragon she was promised is like a baby.
At least it's alive. You have one.
You have one. Technically, we gave you a dragon.
Yeah, I don't, you know what, to be honest though, I don't need a full grown dragon showing up because they're already over it. Like, I need to bond with a baby that has time to get to know me.
Like, if you're keeping score of, like, who has dragons, who doesn't, which dragons, that is bonded to Joffrey, and Stormcloud is bonded to baby Aegon, who we should call Baelon. Because it's going to get confusing. Baelon. You have to say, like,
too many Aegons.
Aegon the Conqueror, like
current King Aegon.
And now Baelon.
Baelon. Okay. Good distinction, though. Everyone is pushing Rhaenyra toward war, but Rhaenys is yet again that bitch.
It makes me sad seeing how she is counseling Rhaenyra, just because you can see how great of a queen she would have been if she had ever been given the opportunity.
Yeah.
And that we should just be worried for our girl.
Yeah. Both girls.
All of our girls. Be worried for the girls.
All the girls. And thank God Rhaenyra has Rhaenys. I can't believe they even suggested that their own queen go into hiding.
Like, whose side are you
on? This bitch has a dragon. She's ready to fight.
Oh, it makes me so mad.
Also, are you trying to, like, if I'm queen, I'm in charge. Do not sequester me. You're not like a ghost council. I am in charge.
And I don't think they would have said that if Daemon were around.
Right.
Which is its own problem. Who later on, when he's like, you want to address me how?
Yeah.
I thought that was a little interesting insight.
That was a little prideful. Like, calm down, Daemon.
As much as I want to see, I love seeing the dragons. And I think seeing dragons, you know, in Game of Thrones, we get to see them not in battle with each other.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So it's going to be cool to watch, but you have to exhaust all other options first, because once it escalates that far, you can't go back.
It's very much like nuclear war. Like, there's going to be mass casualty on either side once they fully come into the battle. So,
like last week's Parent Trap idea, which, you know, was silly but also brilliant. Yeah, it clearly worked. Yeah, it did. It got so close to working. There's another silly, brilliant plan. Rhaenyra is going to sneak into King's Landing to just talk to Alicent. And when they were first talking about it, it made me think of, like, why don't you just call Taylor up? And she was like, why don't you just talk to Alicent? Yeah. And so they somehow pulled this off. Like, it was so risky. And, you know, I saw stills from the next episode. her son is so fucking pissed that she took that risk, because you can just see the look on their faces of being like, you went where?
Uh-oh.
She's like in trouble, like she got caught.
But you know what? I'm still the queen. So thank you for your concern, but I'll make a choice here.
Right.
My Mysaria is already earning her paycheck, setting up the meet cute between Alicent and Rhaenyra.
And they're both just like whisper yelling at each other until Alicent finally understands.
I also wondered if I don't know if you would call them, are they acolytes? The like whatever Rhaenyra's dressed as. The others that are walking around, I'm assuming that nobody ever approaches the queen. So wouldn't it stand out that one of you is talking to her?
Right.
Like, whatever. Back to the story.
And they're just like,
I know, like, come on. Rhaenyra finally understands why Alicent turned on her.
All of this could have been avoided if they stopped using these same fucking names over and over again. And like, Rhaenyra continued the cycle with Baelon.
Baby Aegon.
Baby Aegon. Like, it's just, if there weren't so many Aegons, then none of this would have happened.
Or at least wait till one of them dies. Like, your brother is still alive.
Yes.
So it's weird to keep the cycle going.
But there is still time to stop this. I mean, beyond Burning Mill, like, it hasn't gone too far.
The dragons have not been engaged yet. But Alicent doubles down. At least she doesn't call the guards on Rhaenyra, so that's something.
Yeah, so she's not totally lost. She's still not totally villain.
She's just like, she does this kind of like helpless, like it's too far gone. Too much has happened.
Well, and it's like, you're also about to be the only one in the castle. Like, you could do something.
I know, but the fact that she acts like she can't, like she knows the truth now, it's too far gone. I think we can fully put her in the villain category.
Yeah, well, they just lost their one butt. The Greens just lost their one butt because they had that miscommunication to like, okay, well, they think they're doing the right thing, but they just lost that.
Well, and they're all doing it based on Alicent's word of what the king told her. So like, now you're wrong. Any call you make after this, you're actually pledging your people to murder. Like, this is on you now moving forward.
It's on her, especially when you hear her veiled threat about, what I was like, what do you mean you know what Aemond is? A sad little boy?
Dangerous.
Dangerous?
I mean, we know more about Aemond than we want to after that jump scare. Thank you very much.
I was not mad at that. I think that
that's very brave. Full dick out there. Everybody's watching this show.
He just struts by, like he doesn't even trace, just like whatever.
Well, he has to. He was just seen cowering, so he has to act like none of it bothers him. But like, for the actor, bravo, sir.
But it also shows that what he's doing with the prostitute is not sexual, probably, unless they had already had sex.
I don't know, because I feel like
it wasn't hard.
Maybe it was episode 2 where she went to touch him and he was like, no, not here.
I think that he literally just needs a shoulder to cry on, like a mother figure, because he never had one.
Well, and if she was the girl he lost his virginity to, or woman he lost his virginity to, I think it shows like a side of him that has a lot of loyalty. Like, he's bonded to her through that.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's ever slept with anybody else, but he's very
he could have stood up for her too.
Yeah.
But he just, here, you can have her.
I mean, I guess he knows that she's going to be with others when he leaves.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily like she's mine attachment, but I don't know. I feel bad for him because he's so exposed and he has to kind of save face.
Yeah. He kind of serves face though. Because it reminds me of what is the Blue Steel movie? The modeling. God.
Oh, are you talking about Zoolander?
But he serves it. It's like Valyrian steel. Like, he always has
all the time. Like sharp cheekbones and
then
lips.
like with one eye.
Yeah, honestly, put that one forward. It's cooler.
I do think that we saw Rhaenyra's villain origin story when she's staring into the flames after Alicent leaves. Like, she can go into this with a clear conscience now. Like, it's fucking game time.
It was very clear. Like, she's exhausted every possible option. She went there to double check because she's like, this feels like the right move. I'm trying to like avoid as much death as I can, but you don't want to work with me? Okay, it's game on now.
And that scene was so well done, and it was really important to the story. Like, it's a turning point. But I think I enjoyed Daemon's little trip to Harrenhal more than anything. Like, the spooky vibes, like haunted house vibes, and then Simon Strong just like immediately dropping to his knee and being like, okay.
I mean, it's wild that Harrenhal looks like shit.
It does, and everyone's fighting over it, and it looks like shit, but Harrenhal is the largest castle in the Seven Kingdoms, but it's more dark and spooky ruins now.
Yeah, I'm
So
surprised the fire did so much to the stone.
I know. I'll just a quick like history of Harrenhal. It was built by Harren the Black along the God's Eye, which is it's gonna play host to a very, very big moment in this. But anyways, it was built basically as a monument by Harren to Harren. And it took
Look at me.
40 years to build, mostly with stolen funds and supplies. Like thousands died when they were building it.
Oh my God.
There also used to be a lot more weirwood trees, and they were cut down. Like we saw one, but a lot of them were cut down and used in the building.
So weirwood, is that the white tree with the red leaves?
Yes.
So that's a holy tree that they
exactly
took apart, which feels like you're asking for the god's wrath, and then they put it into a building. No wonder it's so spooky.
Exactly.
Wow.
And it's like what we were talking about earlier, the Brackens and the Blackwoods. That feud goes back to a tree. Like it's a very important tree.
Yeah.
Weirwoods are sacred to the followers of the old gods, like the Blackwoods and like the Starks. And they are used to bear witness to important ceremonies like marriages and oaths because in theory, the gods are watching through the faces on the trees and you can't lie in front of them.
Yeah.
A good example that we saw in Game of Thrones was Jon Snow and Sam, and they say their night watch vows in front of a weirwood grove.
Wow.
Just to like bring it full circle.
But also like if you believe in that and this is your religion and you put that into a home, like, oh my God, the gods are very much like meddling in your lives.
Right.
Now you're inviting them in.
It just added to the whole cursed vibe.
Yeah.
Like it was like a perfect storm. And Harren really thought that no one was ever going to be able to breach the walls. And he was very vocal about that. And it reminded me of like when they called the Titanic unsinkable.
Yeah.
But instead of an iceberg, Harren got his shit rocked by Aegon the Conqueror.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, literally, I think it might have been the day that he moved in to live in the castle. And like that day, the dragons came and it was like over immediately.
Yeah.
Of course. And it hasn't worked for anybody who's moved in since. Like that's why there's the legends of it being cursed. And also just logistically, it's way too big for anyone to keep up or manage.
I mean, it feels like it'd be cursed when you cut down those trees and use them for your home, but then they were burned, which feels like solidifying a curse.
And the thousands of people who died just in the building of it, and he stole from everyone around
all
him
those
to
angry
build it.
souls. Man, I don't know if I could sleep there.
I know.
I mean, it's probably why Daemon sleepwalks to that tree. It seems really significant.
The trees are connected to visions, and we see that later on with Bran.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the curse or if it's Daemon's guilt, but they cause him to see a vision of young Rhaenyra. And she's sewing the head of the child that he ordered to be killed. She's sewing it back on because she's always cleaning up his messes.
I don't know. I can't tell if it was guilt about the kid or guilt about losing Rhaenyra's trust.
I lean towards the latter.
Yeah.
I don't think it was guilt about what he did.
It kind of seems like he sees the death of the child as a cost of war.
I think so. I think it was more, and he saw young Rhaenyra, which I think is important instead of current day Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
Because that's the one who looked up to him. Young Rhaenyra worshipped him and followed him around, and like he's let her down. And it was kind of, I think, maybe the only person he didn't want to see him as a monster. Like I think he hates that she is questioning his loyalty.
Well, because all this time, I guess maybe he felt like she was the one that really saw him.
Right.
And now it's changed how she views him. So yeah, that would be very devastating for him.
Well, and then on the flip side, I was thinking, did he see young Rhaenyra because that's the version of his wife that he could control? She, now she sees him and she's calling him pathetic. So he's kind of romanticizing how she used to worship him.
Yeah. Well, the older Rhaenyra is like,
misses.
She's kind of like, I don't need this from you.
Yeah.
That's terrifying for his pride and for himself as well.
Well, he has such an ego, and I think Aemond has such an ego, like Targaryen men. But that's also, I think, why Aemond like idolizes Daemon, because he's supposed to be this perfect Targaryen.
None of it gets to him.
No one would ever bully Daemon the way they do Aemond, you know? Like,
Yeah.
he wants to be like that. That's why he's such a fanboy.
I know Aemond's gonna have to strike out at his brother at some
But
point.
he doesn't know that, yeah, it's like Daemon presents this hard front, but he also on the inside is working through some stuff.
Yeah, I guess he's been lucky that nobody can see it. He's but yeah, he's definitely working through some guilt and some suppressed emotions.
He's a tortured character, and we were complaining in the first couple of episodes of like, give us more, and they have given us more. And Matt Smith is so brilliant in that role, even just like the facial expressions.
I like that the ghosts were able to give us more because he's not good at expressing himself, but if we can see what I guess deep down would really upset him, it gives us more insight as a viewer.
And if I had to guess, I don't think that'll be the last vision that he has at Harrenhal. I would not be surprised if his late brother shows up, because like Rhaenyra, Viserys never fully trusted Daemon.
Yeah.
And also, that stings.
Didn't you say that the actress that was Rhaenyra's mother is supposed to be in this season? I think we're going to see a lot coming back up at Harrenhal. But again, that's probably why Daemon's so triggered, because his brother saw him as a liability, and now Rhaenyra does too.
And he loves his family, so I think he always hated that his brother saw him as a liability, and now Rhaenyra is looking at him the same way that his brother looked at him.
Well, because his brother saw him as liability, but I think at the time, young Rhaenyra saw where he was coming from with the moves he made.
Well, she just idolized him. She was a fangirl, you know?
But like for now to be like questioning his motives, that's deep.
It is. She's questioning his motives, but then she's also still fighting for him on Dragonstone. Like Rhaenyra is sticking up for Daemon and being like, give him time.
Yeah.
Because everyone's trying to be like, we have to make a move. And she's like, I might not trust him, but he's doing something, you know? And he has. I mean, he took Harrenhal. It wasn't very hard, but he did it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We know. So I was just gonna say, we know he's gonna stand up for his family. Yes. So like, calm down.
If there's one thing he is going to fight for, it's his family. Yeah. And everything he does, I think, is for his family. It just might not always be in the right way.
Yeah.
With the kid death. We also meet a new character, Alys Rivers, and I talked about her in the first episode. I think it was the first episode. But just like Adam, Alan, Hugh, Ulf, she's going to play a huge role. She's not a dragon seed, but she's going to play a major role in the story, and she is 100% that witch.
Okay.
And I thought, you know, I was like, we can do a fun fact at every episode, but I'm just going to introduce Alys as our fun fact, because she is such an interesting and mysterious character. She is a bastard. She's probably a bastard of House Strong. I think she's a wet nurse when we meet her. Some say that she is a woods witch. Mushroom says that she's an enchantress who, you know, bathed in maiden's blood, but he loves a good story.
Yeah.
So we don't know if some people say she's 40. Some people say she's 400.
Wow.
I don't know. She's definitely older than she looks. That's all we really know. Here's a quote from the book. Was she in truth a witch who lay with demons, bringing forth dead children as payment for the knowledge they gave her? Was she a simple-minded slattern, as Eustace believes, a wanton who used her poisons and potions to bind men to her body and soul? So, like, they don't know what her deal is, just that she has some sort of power.
Those are wild leaps. Like, maybe she's just a woman with a good skincare routine.
Exactly.
Like, calm down.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe she's a dreamer or whatever, like Helena.
You know, if it had been, I was thinking about if it had been Helena at Harrenhal, she would have made it like super weird and confusing, and Daemon would have been like, what?
Yeah.
Like, it would have been like all...
Helena's not good at vocalizing what she's seeing.
Like, Alys looks at him and is like, hey, you're going to die here. Like, she's just...
To the point. Here we go.
Then it shows that I think she is much more in control of whatever this magic is, because the problem with all of these books is there's no defined magic system. It's, you know, there's not like easy to put people, there's not categories of, okay, she is this kind of witch, she has this kind of power. So but I would say that Alys is more like a mystic versus Helena being a dreamer. But I do wonder if Alys, like, maybe slipped something into Daemon's food or drink and was causing the visions, either with her magic, or there's the trees, or just like the general cursed vibe of the place. But
maybe
I think that he might have been slipped something.
I mean, it makes sense, because why else would they show him having dinner and being weird about being poisoned. You know, he kind of like pauses before he eats the meat.
Yeah, and he's drinking, and it's like, why did they show us that unless they're kind of trying to tell us that?
I didn't think about that, but yeah, it's definitely like a hint of foreshadowing.
Right. I mean, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe because there are so many factors that could, and it could just be Daemon like mentally working through something, but
it could also just be Harrenhal in and of itself.
Yeah.
Playing its tricks.
So spooky. And just like from now on, there might be a little bit of some book spoilers, but so skip ahead if you don't want to hear it. But
I want to hear it.
As we saw, Alys survives Daemon's takeover, and she's going to survive the next takeover. And she's going to do that by becoming Aemond's lover.
Whoa. Big spoiler.
Big spoiler. She uses her visions to lead Aemond to Daemon for their battle above God's Eye. That is the real Dance of the Dragons.
Wow.
And I won't give away the outcome of that. I'll skip ahead and just say that Alys's son eventually does have a claim to the throne, and she becomes the Witch Queen who is kind of living in Harrenhal, and that's its own drama.
I mean, if it all comes to pass, even to some extent as it is in the book, it's kind of not a big spoiler, but it's good for us to know to keep an eye on her.
She's very important. Yeah.
They didn't really properly introduce her in the episode. She was just kind of there. We saw her, and then we saw her talk to Daemon briefly outside, but I don't think I realized that's who she was until you explained it because you'd seen her in the book. So she's going to be a much more important character.
I don't like, I mean, she's not on the right side, but she's interesting. And you know what? All these women are just kind of like doing what they can with what they were given.
Yeah, but she's more than just a plot point too. She's something you didn't see coming that's going to adjust the trajectory of their story.
Exactly. And I don't know if how far they'll go beyond the dance. Are they going to end it with certain characters' deaths, or are they going to continue the story? Like, because it could go on a little bit further.
Yeah. I mean, people are really, really into it. So I could see them wanting to go a little further with it to connect to Game of Thrones.
And I won't say, you know, how it ends, how the dance ends, especially with the Daemon and Aemond.
I mean, given what she says to Daemon in the episode, I can guess how it might end.
I know. I was like, oh, okay.
She really just put it out there. Episode 3.
I am very concerned, but also very excited for the next episode. I'm so excited to see more dragons. I'm bummed about what's probably going to happen, but at least we're getting to the battles. We're getting to it.
There's going to be so much to discuss from episode 4. I can already tell.
Yeah, I was just watching the trailer and I was like, holy shit.
Oh, God.
Like we're there. This is happening.
Game on.
If you have anything you want us to talk about or have any questions, or maybe I like fucked something up, which is totally possible, just like slide into our DMs at DTFA Podcast on Instagram.
All right.
And we'll see y'all next week.
Bye, guys. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks.